What's up, you filthy casuals? Welcome to the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast, a podcast all about the irreverent love of gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremiah. Tonight, I'm joined by Dave. Welcome to the podcast, Dave.
It's also a podcast about air conditioning, if you caught the 20-minute warm-up.
Honestly, the people who stick there for all the warm-ups, they know what they're getting into. It's either going to be me talking about cars, Joel talking about all the sex stuff he doesn't understand,
and the youths that he doesn't understand.
James talking positive things about Nintendo because how the tables have turned, or Dave talking about who knows what.
Guns.
This time it was
guns.
It was AC. Oh, the RMA got approved for my SSD. That's the first thing I want to start the podcast with. Is my 1 terabyte games SSD just stopped showing up. It's called rapid SSD death, and apparently it's a thing online. Like when they go.
That sounds like some kind of horrible medical condition. Like, what happened to Grandpa? Rapid SSD. Like, oh no.
But the RMA process, I had to fill out more things than I wanted to. It took me like 10 minutes, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that bad. But then I got to mail it back to SanDisk, and they'll give me another one. It's nice though because I didn't, always back your stuff up, kids. The only thing on that drive was games that can just be re-downloaded. So. Yeah. The worst thing that actually happened was I had to skip out of the GTA heist we were going to do that night, and it took me like 20 minutes to re-download Battlegrounds, and then I played that. So let that be a cautionary tale to everybody.
On the note of RMAs, a quick update on the router RMA. I like to give our listeners an idea of which products we use that we like. Pretty impressed with TP-Link's warranty service. They did a advanced RMA without asking me first. Like, they just literally shipped me a new router once they confirmed that it was dead.
Nice.
The only hiccup along the way was once they confirmed, like, hey, yeah, your router sounds like it's broken. They didn't bother trying to, like, have me fix it. They just said, yeah, it sounds like it's broken. We're sending you a new one. After that point, communication got really weird, as in terrible. But up to that point, it was great. I got a tracking number UPS label with no explanation, just like a UPS email from UPS. And then a week later, a new router arrived, and I was like, oh, cool, I guess I should just, throw away the old broken one. So I literally threw it in the trash can with all the stuff that was with it. And then, thankfully, the next day, they emailed me and said, like, automatic email, just a reminder, please use that UPS label to return your defective router. I was like, oh, you guys really should provide some instructions with that random tracking number that you sent me. Because I thought it was my new one on the way. But I didn't get why it never actually updated, and then I realized that's a label for me to print to send the old one back. So I pulled it out of the trash can and put it in the new one's box and sent it off. Yeah, if I had taken the trash out that night, that would have sucked.
But overall, you were happy with the router, though, right? And then
TP-Link, overall, their RMA process from the time I sent them the email to new router in hand was like just under 2 weeks, including emails and everything. Like. It was like 8 business days in total turnaround time for a new router. So props to them.
Not too bad. But yeah, this is Casual Shenanigans Gaming. James is not feeling well this evening, and Joel had a scheduled event he was going to be at, so neither of them are here. But that's okay, because we can talk about the Witcher TV series without him.
Also, we had coffee, so it doesn't matter how we feel.
I didn't have coffee. I haven't had any in a while. I'd like some. I'd very much like some. A while is this morning. I haven't had any since this morning.
You've got crazy highs going on, right?
I had a great... Well, Thursday nights is when Debbie makes her Mediterranean bowl dinners, and... I had a bowl. I mean, it was about, think at least 2 Chipotle bowls worth of food.
Well, that's why I realized why John and Amos from work love the local Vietnamese place so much. Don't get me wrong, it is glorious food, but it comes to you in a serving bowl.
Yeah.
Like, it's huge. I was like, okay, now it makes sense. Like, it could taste half as good as it does, and they still freak out because you get served at a restaurant with a serving bowl.
Right.
They're easy to figure out.
And Debbie does make a good point. I do use a mixing bowl to eat on Mediterranean bowl night. It fits really well. It rests on your chest, has a nice curve to it, pleasant feel. It's just a good way to do it. So anyway,
this week's topic is definitely relevant because I've had so many people ask me I've been tagged on Twitter at least 4 times by people specifically asking me what my thoughts were on this.
Isn't it nice we instantly started getting comments and emails of people going, are you guys excited? Are you pumped? Are you excited? How happy are you?
To be fair, you and I did record a podcast in 2015 called Why If You're Not Excited for The Witcher 3, You're Wrong. A very bold statement to make on the internet. But yeah, Netflix has announced a Witcher TV series. Dude, I would not have guessed this was coming whatsoever. It really surprised me.
Yeah, it's weird. So, The Witcher 3 obviously was a very successful game, but like in the world of successful games, I would be shocked if they were making a Grand Theft Auto TV show or series, and that's one of the most popular games of all time. Like Assassin's Creed kind of broke into the cultural sphere a little bit, and they put out 10 games, and then they made a movie of that, and of course it was terrible, like all video game movies are. I'm more excited by them making a TV show than a movie, because a TV show has a much better job of being a good drama. That being said, I have serious concerns. Because most video games have not translated well to the screen. So interesting stuff for anyone who doesn't know. So it'll be a show based on the Witcher saga, so based on the 8 novels that Andrzej Sapkowski...
Wait, no. Jeremiah, I've been practicing this, okay?
All right.
I'm going to get it this time, guys. This is the time that I get his glorious Polish name correct. They are written by... Now I've lost his name. There it is. Yeah, it's Andrzej Sapkowski.
Andrzej Sapkowski. All right. He says
not bad.
He says he's thrilled that Netflix will be doing an adaptation of my stories, staying true to the source material and the themes that I've spent over 30 years writing. And then Tom Baginski, who directed the intro videos for all 3 Witcher games, as well as the Cyberpunk 2077 trailer, which people have all really liked. If you haven't seen those like intro videos, go check them out because they've always been good. He will direct at least 1 episode per season, so it kind of seems like he might be the showrunner. The executive producers are Sean Daniel and Jason Brown from The Expanse, and they say the Witcher stories follow an unconventional family that comes together to fight for truth in a dangerous world. So let's talk about like the exciting bits first. I don't
First, according to EOS in the chat, I got the name a little bit wrong. It's Sapkowski.
Sapkowski.
Kowski. Sorry, go ahead.
So I don't want to be like the rain cloud, but I do have some serious concerns because it's a video game being adapted.
Drop them.
Oh, concerns first? Okay. So my first one, honestly, is the music. These aren't based on the games. It's not going to have the music.
Oh, no. I hadn't thought of that. The music makes The Witcher.
Exactly.
Oh.
So unless they struck some licensing deal, but Sapkowski is reportedly has never been a huge fan of the games. My guess is because he's old enough, he doesn't really get video gaming as a medium and doesn't really understand how faithful...
I got some comments on that soon.
Yeah, how faithful CD Projekt Red has actually been to his vision and everything. Like, I'm assuming he just doesn't understand it. It's going to be a live action show, John Claude in the chat was asking. Yeah, so presumably no Gwent and no music.
No.
But so that's my main concern. Second concern is, of course, anything being adapted into a series or a movie. Movies are almost never good. A series has a better chance because series are better for drama, in my opinion. I think yes, probably most people's opinion. A TV series is going to be better for drama than a movie. It's so weird because with Netflix, some stuff they make is really awesome, and some stuff they make is Iron Fist.
Okay, so here's my thoughts on that. I ran into a really good Reddit discussion on Netflix's take on their original shows, and someone pointed out on Reddit that Netflix has a really hands-off approach for their original shows compared to like HBO, AMC, stuff like that, where the director and the team gets a lot more creative control over the show than a lot of other channels and sources do, which can be a good thing. Look at Stranger Things.
Right. Which got
unique.
dropped by like every network, like nobody wanted it, and then Netflix was like, "Why not?"
Yeah, it's unique, it's weird, and it's amazing. It's fantastic. I cannot wait for season 2. Then, like you said, that can go the complete opposite way, where if the team isn't up to the task, then that greater creative control can mean they have greater control to make everything terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it could be good. My second thing, and this is just where I'm surprised more than I'm excited or disappointed, is, or my third thing, I guess, is The Witcher a big enough deal that they're going to put a big budget on this, or even a medium budget? Like, there needs to be monsters. It can't just be people wearing, like, The Walking Dead, I think, does a pretty good job on a TV show budget of having, zombies, but having actual monsters like that could be pretty hard to do. And is The Witcher going to be big enough to get enough name recognition? Will enough people actually watch it? Like, nerds probably will, but Netflix has had plenty of shows that were of good quality that just never really caught on. So
I think that The Witcher has a really great potential, especially with their director, like you said, he was the one who did the intros, right?
Right.
Yeah, him and his team are extremely talented. If Netflix does the marketing right, I honestly think that The Witcher is going to be super easy to market to a bigger audience, because Game of Thrones and shows like Vikings have set the stage for gritty medieval and fantasy style shows. Like, the stage is set. I think it would be very easy to market it if they do it right.
I hope they don't go the direction of being like, it's just tits and violence. Like,
Yeah.
But saying that, it needs to be a properly mature show. Like,
Yes.
if you are not genuinely uncomfortable a good portion of the time at the terrible world that The Witcher lives in, like, it's not going to be good. I don't want it to be he's just cruising from village to village like, it's friendly Witcher Geralt coming to save the day. Like, I don't want that. I want it to be, like, uncomfortable, you know?
Honestly, I've been thinking about this, okay? I think the first couple pages from the first short story collection, The Last Wish, would be the perfect opening for the show and set the mature stage. It's where Geralt rides into town. Your classic hero arrives. You know, he's wearing like the traveling cloak, like the Ranger from Lord of the Rings. He rides into the town, goes to the bar, and immediately everyone's like eyeing him, right? Giving him dirty looks. He's got strange looking eyes. He's all scarred and scruffy looking, but his swords are hidden under his cloak. And there's that scene where the barkeep won't rent him a room or anything. So finally Geralt's just like, all right, just give me a drink. And then a bunch of ruffians from the back come up to start trouble. And Geralt tries to avoid trouble. He just wants to have his drink and leave. And they end up starting a fight. And he's outnumbered. So Geralt draws his sword. And in like a few seconds, just the way it's described in the books, like, you have the decapitation and the limb damage and stuff in the games. It's described so graphically in the book because it's a sword against a bunch of drunken thugs. Mm-hmm. He cuts them to pieces. And there's a moment after the fight's over where there's just like a woman in the back corner of the tavern just shrieking. And one guy's like holding his like decapitated or like missing like shoulder blade, and this is like spurting blood. And the bartender stands there for a second, and it's just dead silent besides the woman screaming. And the bartender just leans behind the counter and just pukes and pukes and pukes. Like, that scene right there, I think, would set the perfect tone for the show, where it's like, okay, guys, this isn't going to be a super light fantasy hero saves the day. Like it's going to be dark. It's going to be gritty. It's going to be uncomfortable at times. Like, you're going to be puking at times, like the bartender. I would love that scene to be the first one in the show. I think that would be great.
That'd be a good one. And then, so my last major concern, besides, of course, there's all like, who are they going to cast? What stories are they going to do?
Sure, yeah.
Will a series like that be able to last long enough to get through the main Witcher storyline? Because if they could, so good. But if they have to drop it like halfway through,
it's 6 novels long, right? 6 of the main novels?
Okay, and then plus 6 main novels, 2 short stories. So...
And some of the short stories would have to be in there to set stuff up.
But that's the thing, is you would need Ciri to like grow up some during the show. Like, I don't know. It's ambitious if it actually lasts. Like, I don't want this to be either a season and then it doesn't do well and it gets canceled, because that'll suck. I don't know. This feels like it would need to be like a 5 or 6 season show to really be done well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. So here's my hopes. I'll add my concerns later too. My hopes is that Netflix has been staring greedily through the window at Game of Thrones for the last 6 years, and that they're going to throw some serious money at this. They have thrown some serious money down in the past for things that they really believed in.
Like Marco Polo. Marco Polo was supposed to be their Game of Thrones, wasn't it?
What was Marco Polo?
Oh, you don't know about Marco Polo? It was
like
supposed to be their Game of Thrones, and it got like 2 seasons, and everybody who likes it really, really loves it, but it just never got an audience. It was kind of boring, in my opinion.
I missed out on this entirely. Oh, wow.
You've never heard of Marco Polo?
On Netflix?
Yeah.
Nope.
All right.
I love history. Dang it.
And it's not. It's like Game of Thrones. But
yeah, and that's the thing is, I think, again, Witcher would be easier to market than Marco Polo, no matter how good Marco Polo might have been. I think Witcher is going to make better posters, better trailers, and if the music's good, it can really all come together. And I hope that's how Netflix sees it too.
I wish they would just talk to CD Projekt Red. How much does it cost to license the music?
All right, so let's talk about that next. I am very happy that they're going back to Sapkowski's original novels. Right. That, I think, is the correct decision. I think the games being their own thing is the best way to go. I'm sad, now that you pointed it out, the music won't be there. But one thing that I'm worried about is I love Sapkowski's work. It is glorious. But he is a crotchety old man. He is set in his ways, and he said some honestly extremely rude things about CDPR and about the gaming community. And I get some of it is he's out of touch. Some of it is I think he's got some bitterness because he sold CDPR the rights to The Witcher with no extra clauses. It was just a one-time fee and done. And just from a creative perspective, I get someone else has his world that he spent 30 years creating in a time at the end of the Soviet Union where science fiction was like a weird thing to be focusing on in the early 90s. Like, he was one of the first Polish authors in that region of the world to start writing science fiction like the Witcher series and Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Like, it was very new. It was very edgy back then. He's a groundbreaker, honestly, in the genre, especially for Poland and in Eastern Europe at the end of the Cold War. But yeah, honestly, I have, as much as I respect his work, and I'd love to still meet the guy and get an autograph in the book, and I get why he can be angry that the games have so much attention. There's people who are like, there's books based off the games. Like, I get how that's gotta really suck. But it doesn't take away from the fact that he said some honestly cruel and rude things about CDPR and the games. Things like, I don't know if the games are any good because I don't associate with people that play video games. That's more or less a direct quote that he said. Like, that is just, come on, man. That's just super rude. One concern that I have is that he's going to take this opportunity to overwrite CDPR's work. If they do enough of the Witcher series where it covers all the novels or maybe only touches on a few parts of them and it's time to create new stories, the games take place that CDPR did after the novels. I'm worried that he might be bitter enough and to actually take that opportunity as the original author to just throw all their work aside to be like, no, sorry guys, this is the official lore in the show.
Right.
That's one thing I'm worried about. On the other hand, I am very happy that the original author is involved. They could have very easily tried to just license it or something like that and just rolled with it. And if he brings any of the quality of the writing from the books into the show, it's already got a leg up. The other part that I'm super pumped about is the staff that they've pulled onto it so far. That director, I wouldn't have guessed they would have been able to get him because he's known for CGI stuff mainly. Like,
well, I mean, what else does he do besides those intro videos? I mean, I wouldn't see that as being difficult at all. What else has he directed?
I should look it up. What I do know is that everything that he's touched so far that I've seen and known, it's this guy and his team, their studio has gained international recognition off their work so far, and they're a relatively young studio.
Okay, so maybe I just don't know much. I mean, they're probably just better known, and then I just haven't caught on.
Yeah, essentially what I'm saying about his work is everything that he's done so far has been incredible quality.
Yeah.
They don't look like video game trailers, which is a good thing if he's going to be working on a TV show. I think he's got the feeling and the atmosphere down to a T. And as long as he can translate that to real actors, it's got a leg up right there for sure. I can't get past the music thing now, though. Jeremiah?
I mean, it's a serious concern. Now, of course, probably everybody's going to want to talk about who should play who, and I don't really like playing that game because honestly, I hope they get mostly unknowns for most of these people. Like, I'm not one of the people like, Kate Beckinsale should play Yennefer. It's like, no, they should get people you're not going to immediately associate with a bunch of other people, except Anson Mount should be Geralt because he looks exactly like Geralt.
It's true. It's true.
Anson Mount
Yeah.
is the main character from. He plays the main character in Hell on Wheels. If you don't know who that is, so look up Anson Mount with like long silver hair, and there are pictures, and you're like, oh, he's the right mix. I think of like he's been in stuff. He has a little recognition, but he's kind of like he's that guy. Like you're not gonna look at him and be like, oh, well, that's international superstar Anson Mount. You'll be like, oh yeah, he's the guy who was in that thing. He does brooding really well. He does emotionally conflicted really well. I mean, he looks like he's just doing a Geralt cosplay by being alive. Now, the guy who plays Khal Drogo, he's too big now. He's doing Aquaman and stuff. You're not going to get him, for people who are in that same vein. Like, there's a couple of people
you said Anson Mount, right?
Yeah.
I'm terrible with actors' names. I had to Google it. Oh yeah, he's Geralt.
Yeah, from Hell on Wheels.
He is Geralt of Rivia. Yeah, he's. My entire left screen is currently Anson Mount, and I'm okay with this.
Now, if you see pictures of him with short hair, like, oh my gosh, there's a picture of him farther down the page. I'm like, no, don't do that. You need a beard and long hair for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys, kind of like you. Like, your look is a beard. If you don't have the beard, it's just not correct. Like,
yep.
But yeah, him with long silver hair, that could work. Let's just
We're
put it
having a
that
moment
way.
right now, Jeremiah.
I think we are.
All right, guys, time for a commercial break. We need to go and take a cold shower.
I mean, do you want to talk about who should play any of the other characters? Or is that too...
I've seen some of the articles, even like in the last couple of years since Witcher 3 came out, people talking back and forth. He's the first one I've seen where it just instantly clicked for me. Nothing else stands out. I was like, oh, this actor's got to play, or actress has got to play this character. Nothing else pops out like that. But
Debbie has a good point. Would they try to cast someone that looks like Geralt from the video game? Because Geralt in the show, or Geralt in the books, is a lot uglier. But I think for a show, like, they're going to have to... Well, Geralt in the first game is pretty ugly, too. That's just because they weren't very good at modeling him. But I think they're going to have to, they have to get somebody a little more conventionally attractive, probably, for the show to be successful.
I mean, all the sorceresses in the Witcher universe use magic to improve their appearance. Geralt's dated 2 sorceresses. Why won't someone help him out with that ugly stick he got hit with in Witcher 1, Maybe that's what happened in Witcher 3 is Yennefer's like, you know what? We do spend a lot of time in public.
Yeah, Yennefer's like, I put a lot of magic into my appearance, and I'm just going to wait till you're asleep and just be like, do, 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 do. I'm assuming she uses a wand. I don't know why. Oh, here's a good point by Eos in chat. What accent's he going to have? Like, I'm assuming it's going to be an English language show. Because they want it to be successful, you would assume. You would assume. I mean, the games were even developed with English as the primary language, right?
Yeah, well, no, the original series is obviously Polish.
No, I know, but the games were developed like...
Oh, sorry, gotcha. Well, I don't want to say that even in the games, Polish is the primary language focus. There's mods you can get on PC that replace everything with subtitles in the original Polish voiceover. On the other hand, though, Doug Cockle, the English voice actor for Geralt, has really become the voice of Geralt. And I just had the thought now that it's going to be weird not to have his voice in the show. It's going to be very weird.
Especially because you look at pictures of him and you're like, nice guy, he's not going to play Geralt.
He does not look the part at all.
Now I say that, you grow his hair out and give him a beard and have him get in shape for a while. You never know. I'm not saying impossible, but,
What would the accent be, though? I can't figure it out.
What all has
honestly.
he been in?
Doug Cockle?
Yeah, a lot of games. Mostly games.
There was a great interview with him a couple months ago, describing his career and how he almost wasn't Geralt after the first game. He really enjoyed gaming voiceover work, did a bunch of it, and then kind of retired to like a farm. And then a friend of his said basically like, hey, you hear that studio you worked with like 5 years ago? They're making a second game from that Witcher series. And they hadn't even thought to like contact him or anything at CDPR. So his friends was like, hey, you should get in touch and see what's up. And I think how it worked out was he just went and did like a tryout like everybody else did, even though he was the original Geralt, and they ended up picking him again. And then for 3, it was obviously, him again by default at that point. But like he almost wasn't Geralt after the first game. He's done a bunch of a bunch of other games. He's great. I love his work.
Someone says he's in Horizon Zero Dawn. That's interesting. I haven't run across him yet, I don't think.
Lots of questions about the show here I hadn't really considered beyond the initial hype.
See, that's
game.
the thing. It's like when you're so committed to the game, and they're deliberately not basing it on the game, which is probably good. Again, it's probably better. I said earlier, I misspoke. It's not a game being adapted into a show. It's books being adapted into a show. So there's plenty of source material. I guess I shouldn't look at this as like a video game adaptation because it probably won't be. But
and speaking of which, I've been stocking up on all the official English translations of the novels recently. Like every time I have an Amazon order that is like a little bit light, I feel dumb placing the order, even with Prime. I'll toss in one of the $8 Witcher novels because they're all in English now. So I'm gonna
nice. When you're ready, just hand over the done ones over here.
Will do, my lord.
Anything else you want to talk about The Witcher 3? Not The Witcher. Oh, The Witcher TV show.
I wonder if this is the announcement that CD Projekt Red was teasing for this year. I don't... No, because they said it was a game, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I doubt they're going to be attached to this. Wouldn't they have come out and said something when Netflix did their announcement?
Yeah, you're right. Seeing they're not attached, it wouldn't be the announcement. I was thinking, because I'm pretty sure they described it as a project announcement, I was wondering, like, are they actually involved? But it's unlikely at this point. It's been a few days. They haven't said anything. They're probably not involved. Whew, that would be a train of awkwardness. Sapkowski and his arch enemies on the same set together, fighting over the same IP.
I doubt it would be that bad.
It would be awkward.
It might be.
He said some very rude things very publicly.
He could just be grumpy.
I like Eos's idea there in chat that they need to have Doug Cockle as like a blacksmith or something in the show. That would be a fantastic nod to the games.
They should have all the voice actors in there at some point.
That would be so confusing.
All I want is them to walk by someone going pam param pam param pam param. It's like, is he sick? Does he feel unwell?
It's the magical Middle Ages. Of course, he feels unwell.
All right.
Would you describe your overall thoughts though as mostly excited?
Yes.
Cautiously excited?
Yes. I mean, I wasn't going to have it before, so if it sucks, I can just go back to not having it. Like, it's not going to ruin my love of the books or the game. So maybe it will work out being really good. I don't know.
I think my final thought on it is that if this wasn't Netflix, I get it. They're not the ones financing the main thing. Netflix is mainly just a distributor, is what it is. There's like a couple companies financing the whole project. But if it wasn't Netflix, and if it was like 10 or 12 years ago with how TV was back then, I would be horrified. I'm like, oh boy, here comes another video game movie. But things are changing.
Yeah.
I mean, look how huge Game of Thrones is. That's exciting. It's a good time for this to be happening. I hope it all comes together just like it did for Witcher 3.
Yeah, like, they got a big uphill ahead of them, and I am operating under the assumption that it's not going to be great. But you never know.
Wait. I thought you said you were excited.
No, I'm excited, but I'm operating under the assumption that it's not going to be incredible. Like, but I'm excited to see it.
I think worst case scenario, it's going to be good. Like a good show to enjoy. It may be simple, it may be not have like a whole lot of fighting because of the CGI problems and budget limitations, but I think it's going to be quite difficult for them to make a just straight up bad show out of the Witcher novels. If it's just dialogue and just drama, even then it could still be quite good, I think.
All right. Ready to move on
Let's do it.
What are you playing this week? Part of the show where we talk about what we're playing this week.
There's the explanation. I was so lost there for a minute.
So I've been playing Battlegrounds. No, I figured talk about interesting encounter I had. I think I had the first, like, I actually survived the gunfight and came out on top amidst all the odds. Normally I'm one of the ones who dies midway through the gunfight. Best case scenario, midway through. Worst case scenario, I'm the guy who dies as a warning to everyone else that a gunfight's starting.
So last night then.
Like, I normally do well in the game by avoiding conflict and making smart decisions, not by being amazing at killing everybody. Like Edgar, who's just like, oh, 5 people? Sucks for them. Like,
You always hear that breathless Brazilian accent. Got 1? Got 2? 3 down. It's like, all right, whoa there, cowboy. All right, go ahead.
so me and Dan were moving along, and we know that there's fighting going on, and we were with Joel too. Well, Joel starts taking pot shots at a guy on a building at some apartments, and because we were like both going around the town from different directions, he takes some pot shots just to like distract them. And they start taking pot shots back at him, and they hit him and knock him down. So Dan and I are really far away, so we start running towards him, but they still see him. They pick him off. Joel dies. So we split off. We still keep traveling away from town. Unfortunately, another group happened to see us, and we wandered into one of those garages to loot it, and we took a couple shots in the back. So we sprinted like in and hid, and I was healing up really quick. Dan was like posted up waiting at the door. Guy hops around the corner, just lights us up. I take a couple hits. Dan unfortunately gets knocked down, and the guy finishes him off like in one burst. But I spray at the guy. I managed to catch him in the head with an Uzi. That's all I had right now was an Uzi with like 50 rounds. Catch him in the head with the Uzi, put him down, reload. I start going around to loot him. Shots come through the door. I back up. The door next to me swings open. I run and jump out of the garage. The guy's right there. Spray, barely knock him out. Like, get him down, wipe him out. And I'm like, 2 in a row. This never happens. Other shots start coming in because there are people, like, across the street shooting. And I think it's a third guy in the squad. So I run inside, run upstairs, and I thought I had a Molotov. And so there's some 7.62 at the top, so I pick it up because I got an SKS. I thought I had a Molotov. I go to switch to it. I'm like, oh, crap. I can hear the guy inside. I'm like, I have no grenades. That was my last life. I have no grenades. So I whip out the SKS and start hip firing it right when the guy starts coming up the stairs. And I popped him a couple times, but he took me out. But it all happened in like 30 seconds. But when I took out those first 2 guys in one go with a stinking Uzi, like... I felt pretty good. It felt really great. The rest of the night did not go that well. Our first round, me, Dan, and Joel died on the bridge all at one time. We're driving across the bridge towards the military base. We start taking shots. Dan gets popped in the head, falls out of the car. I lean out to start shooting. I get popped. I fall out of the car. Joel drives 20 more feet. They kill him. Like, cool.
There it is.
Yeah. And then what have you been playing?
On Battlegrounds, I just play with you guys. For some reason, it just does not interest me playing solo at all.
I don't play solo at all either. I only play with other people.
My only memorable moment for the last week was just what I'm going to affectionately call a dick move, where we all went for the apartments in the middle of the map right from the start. Edgar, Joel, and John got wiped out by a squad of 4 in one apartment building because it was just one of those moments like where nothing went right, like they hit the wrong button, weren't topping off their ammo, and they just got wiped, doing like no damage to any of their squad. So now I'm by myself, last one of the 4 left, in an apartment building with I have a Vector, but just the 13 round magazine it comes with by default. I was like, what the heck? I'm like, I wonder if I can just take one of their friends away from them, like before I go down. So I stuck into the building, listened to all their pitter patter footsteps, opened the bottom door. One guy had just come down the stairs by himself. I downed him, and I immediately hear the other 3 guys upstairs, like running down the stairs. And so I just stand over the guy who's down on the ground, reload the magazine, shoot him in the head before I'm shot like 60 times from up the stairs. All I did was right from the start of the game, just take their friend away from their squad before I died. I was like, that's all I wanted to do. This week, oh man, I've been playing a few other things than usual, actually. I played 12 hours of the Rising Storm 2 Vietnam beta from Thursday through Monday. 12 hours.
All right, we'll talk about it briefly here, and I think we might do something more with Shane in a bit.
Yeah.
I'll let you do, you talk as much as you want. I have a couple thoughts, but I don't want to drag it down.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it brief. I've loved the Red Orchestra series overall, so I was already going into it hoping that it would just be the same thing with the Vietnam skin, and it basically was. Lots of rough beta edges, clunky things with climbing, shooting, respawning, and sound glitches, but the combat was exhilarating. Man, getting headshots and hearing like the little ping helmet sound effect. Just the time to kill in that game when you're the one doing the killing is immensely satisfying. There's nothing like it. It's even more so satisfying than Arma, because Arma has like a slight delay for the kills and stuff like that, fighting the AI. This being against other people, and with how, I think I used the word visceral in my video like 9 times. It just, man, when you're doing the killing, it feels so good. Overall, really rough edges, but I love the game. It's just what I was hoping for.
Nice. I don't like it very much. So the first thing is, okay, I get that it's an indie game, but indie games have been able to have good UIs, good maps, and vector-based like menus for a while now. So there's a couple things there may be, in my opinion, they're too dated on. They're using raster-based menu stuff, and their map is just unreadable. Like, their map is garbage. They need somebody, they need a proper UI designer to help them make a map that's useful, a menu that looks modern, because a lot of like their target audience is going to be playing at 1440p and stuff. Like their hardcore audience. I mean, like this is a game for PC gamers who like hardcore shooters. And it seems like they're aiming for like 1080p. Do you care about the map? Blah blah blah. The gunplay is good, but it's one of those games that, like, I don't know, it just doesn't inspire me at all. Like, oh, I died. All right, well, of course I have to run for a minute and a half to get back there, like, because I took one bullet and I'm down. Like, a lot of the times it doesn't feel like I'm dying because of things I should have necessarily done differently. There's just a lot of random chance that goes along with it, because it's not like it's a really tactical game that everybody's playing really tactically. It's a really tactical game that a lot of people are playing like Call of Duty. And if people who are doing that are better than you, you're just going to die instantly and then have to spend another minute getting back. Like, to me, if it was all private with just some friends, like if I had enough friends to play with and it was all private servers or something, I can see how the game would be really fun. But for me, on public servers, it's one of those community things. Like, everybody's playing the game so differently from each other. And if you listen to voice chat, it's the same toxic internet, waste dump.
Voice chat, the beta was pretty bad.
Yeah. So like, it's just not working for me. I mean, that's the nicest way I want to put it. Like, the sound is really good. They put a lot of work into the graphics.
Pretty glitchy.
Well, that's true. But they, like, I can tell they put a lot of work into it. So I'm not trying to say like, oh, this just sucks, but it's not working for me. I don't really see any reason why I would want to play that instead of one of the other 24, in my opinion, much better shooters available.
Yeah, you'll have to give it a second shot when we have another beta, and play with the group too, which helps. There were a couple of problems that really made some of the gameplay rough sometimes. In this beta, there was a stamina recovery, I won't say glitch, but like imbalance, where people who knew the maps could do a lot of sprinting, where they could instantly go from running to basically snap firing. Mm-hmm. And so once you got that down, there was a lot of people just sprinting around killing newbies, which is not fun for people on the receiving end. The most fun that I had was playing slower, picking targets off at a distance, taking objectives from really good flanks and stuff like that. I think once some balancing is done for the weapons, for the spawn system, for the UI, that's really going to help. And then the roughest thing for me was there's a lot of glitches when you die with a lack of feedback. Instant black screen. It's very confusing, and dying is not an enjoyable experience in that game. Because it's hard to tell what's going on. And I think once they get that tightened up, it's going to be a lot better. But you will be playing more.
I'll give it another try, but honestly, I'm not like, I don't know.
You will be. Beyond that, what I've been playing this week, some Fallout building as usual. Working on some huge scale Arma missions. The Alistar campaign is coming back, swinging. The edit for the one that we played right at the end of March is ridiculous. I spent like 2 hours this week filming stuff for the intro for it. The music is legit. It's looking really good. The Jets DLC dropped this week, and I haven't played it yet, so I feel like a moron for that. But yeah, staying busy. And that's about that.
Cool. All right, it's time for the news.
News time.
So I was kind of tempted by Ryzen. And I still am a little bit. I still am. A hyper-threaded octa-core, like, I don't need it, but when it's time, that's probably the way I'd go. Except AMD has just officially announced the Threadripper, which is a 16-core, 32-thread, consumer-oriented CPU. Whoa!
That name, though.
Yeah, the Threadripper. I keep thinking of like sewing, like a seam ripper. It's not really like, it doesn't sound.
Sounds very full of itself, is what it sounds like.
It does. Like, it doesn't sound that cool to me. But anyway, because Intel announced the Core i9, which would have 12 cores in hyperthreading. It would be paired with the new X299 chipset. So it'd be basically 6th generation Skylake processors, but, you know, hyper-threaded 12 cores. And we'll see how much Intel wants to charge for them now that AMD is actually competitive again in the high-end space. But yeah, 16-core, 32-thread. I just want to see what type of prices this would come out at, and like, are the motherboards affordable? Do they work? Because based on your experience with enthusiast chipsets, I honestly don't want one. Like, it doesn't seem like it's really worth the trade-off when I have more USB 3 ports that work, and I don't spend a lot of time downloading motherboard drivers. And like, once you got stuff stable, it was stable. But with both of your last two systems, it seems like you spent way more time getting your enthusiast grade motherboard and CPU to work correctly than most consumer grade stuff does. So I'm not really looking to jump to a server grade CPU unless it actually works well. But 16 core, 32 threads.
That's pretty slick.
It is. But I don't know. I'm excited. Just for this to happen. Like, I want there to be a big CPU performance war. That can only be good. Only be good for the consumer. And also, I want AMD to make money so they can stay in business.
Also that.
All right, what about you, Dave?
Did you guys talk about Wild West Online in the last couple of weeks?
We did briefly. We just announced it had been announced, and it looks a lot like Red Dead.
Yeah, so apparently its Kickstarter has been canceled because it received what must be a solid chunk of private investment in the game, which is exciting. So, they said they got thousands of emails, 200,000 site visits. That's not anything wild, I guess. Sorry, let me see if this is actually the right thing that I'm looking at here. For what I can tell, their Kickstarter has been canceled. I honestly cannot find it at all. The article is not stated clearly. TLDR, whether the Kickstarter is actually canceled or not, they've gotten private funding, and so a bunch of what was going to be stretch goals on the Kickstarter are now going to be in the game at launch, which is very exciting because the game does look fantastic. My only concern remains that their timetable is incredibly aggressive with a launch this year.
Yeah, we'll see.
Is Red Dead coming out this year too?
Yes.
That's why they don't need to do that. They shouldn't do that. I don't know. Best of luck to them. I'm excited to see how it progresses. The one thing that is nice about their screenshots, and it might just be because it's Western artwork, but it doesn't have that War Z, we put this level together in the level designer in the last couple of weeks to make these screenshots look to it. Like, sometimes an early access game or a game in development, you can see like they've set up a scene or an area with some props that aren't quite finished yet, just all clustered together to make a cool, carefully angled shot. And like, if you turn around, it's going to be the empty landscape of an in development game.
Right.
Their screenshots appear to be rather full featured. So maybe it's been in progress for a lot longer than we think. I don't know. For this one, even as our resident optimist, I'm feeling a lot of skepticism with this one, even though I want it to be legit.
Tosomeone on Reddit today put up a brilliant write-up on Star Citizen. I don't know if you happen to see it.
Really?
They use the analogy of a pizza parlor. I don't want to spoil it, but you should go on r/best of and read it. Like, it is spot on to, like, sure, maybe Chris Roberts really is like a master game designer and we're not worthy to understand the level he operates on and blah, 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 blah. Or maybe the people who put a couple $100 into it just want to play their game at some point because it's been 6 years. Who knows? Like, even if
like
he is
DayZ,
a genius, he might be a genius. There might be a reason publishers didn't want to do this. Like, maybe this wasn't an economically feasible idea and publishers just aren't money-sucking vultures. Maybe they knew it wasn't going to work.
Maybe targeting 3 generations from now isn't a viable plan.
I say that as someone who kickstarted it. Yeah.
Remember that time we started a podcast all about DayZ, Jeremiah?
I do. Hey, we're almost, like Joel said, as soon as DayZ actually releases, we're shutting it down. It's a shame that couldn't happen by 200. We could have wrapped it all down at 200, like right at the right time.
Jeremiah, if DayZ goes public at any point, like completely finished, out of beta, out of early access, like it's on Steam, on the main page, we need to spend however hundreds of dollars it would take, print a giant mission accomplished banner like George W. Bush on the aircraft carrier and just hang it in the background for the final podcast. Casual Shenanigans, episode 496, mission accomplished.
I kind of like that idea.
DayZ is out.
Yeah. But I get it. Why could it have happened by 200? It'd be all nice and even. Wrap it down. 200 episodes is nothing to slouch at. This is episode 190. We still, for anyone curious, we have not put a single minute of thought into what we might do for episode 200. You got any ideas of what you might want to see us do? Send it in. We may not do it. But we've kind of been, if you haven't noticed, we've been doing more casual podcasts for the last 20 or so. I think they've been going great.
This is great.
I like them being more casual. Of course, I'd like to hear from you guys. But yeah, Aubrey in chat says, well, I guess now let's transition to comment of the week / mail time, where we read comments from the chat, a new part of the show where we fill time by talking to you, the viewers. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, youtube.com/casualshenanigans. Aubrey says, Dave and Germ, if you guys are reading chat, my favorite Let's Play from Dave is the Witcher 3 Blood and Wine side quest Let's Play. And for Germ, it's the Tropico 4 campaign you did a long time back. Not Tropico 5? Did I do one for Tropico 5? I don't remember. But I'm glad you enjoyed the Tropico 4 one. I made it through all of Friends playing Tropico. Like, that was my throw it up on the side monitor while I'm grinding through, figuring out how to run a terrible, terrible island economy when you can't upgrade your roads to take more traffic. Come on. I want Tropico, but on city skylines world building.
Yeah, you got me into Tropico for a while. I just looked. I got 13 hours in the game in like a month because I was watching you play. That was good stuff.
Cool. We gotta play some more Total War. No, we're going to.
Don't tease me. Do not tease the viewers.
I've asked several times recently, just because I wasn't available that one time when I said I would be available. You've been taking it out on me ever since.
Yeah, I think it's time to like dial in a finale for the series, because I don't think for the Viking series it wouldn't make sense to conquer the whole world. Like, it would take too long for one thing. We're 30 plus episodes in now too.
Almost at 30, I think.
Yeah, I think it's time to wind things down.
We can do that.
I don't know. We'll see what the viewers think. Also, Squantoon sent me a full copy of Warhammer.
Really?
Total War.
John in chat says, what do you guys think of Total War Warhammer 2? We don't really know much about Warhammer, and I don't think either of us have played that.
I was about to say, I'm like, that was a nice gesture, but man, like, going into it, I don't know what I'm gonna be doing in that game. Like, I know literally nothing about Warhammer besides there's the Imperial guys, right? The Marines, they're kind of like fascist-like, and there's orcs, but they're in space.
That doesn't sound
also, right. Also, people like to paint the models, which actually looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I know it's more than just a game. It's a lifestyle.
That's about all I know, though.
That's literally all I know. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Anything else you want to talk about this week? All our mail we got this week was all related to, did you guys see they're making a Witcher series? We need to make sure you guys know that. So thank you to everybody who wrote in. I appreciate everybody who wanted to make sure we did not miss that. But I assure you, James broke the news to us, and at first I honestly didn't believe him. I was like, there's no way that's happening. But
I woke up to that news a few days ago, and it was a great way to start the day.
Also, if you guys haven't checked it out, you should go look at the Casual Shenanigans YouTube channel. Joel has put up a PSVR aim controller unboxing. He can't be on the show this week, but he did get the aim controller with Farpoint, so he unboxes it and walks you through a little bit. So you may enjoy that. And then, actually, we do have, for mail time, we do have a long comment sent in by Mr. Crutches Bob, who's in live chat with us tonight. Tyler has found the Star Citizen post and posted it in chat. Fantastic. All right, but I'm going to read a comment from Mr. Crutches Bob, because it's email length. And this is in regards to last week's topic, are patches always a good idea? And he says, I often find myself thinking back on the days when I would buy a game for my PS1 or PS2. I'd sit down and I'd enjoy the game and never encounter glitches or game-breaking bugs. Perhaps I've just been terribly lucky with not running into these types of things, as I can honestly say I've never encountered such problems outside of alpha or beta testing. Of course, when testing, I typically force myself to try and break the game because that's the point of testing, but I digress. The problem with the multitude of day one patches and the amount of season passes we see, which are becoming increasingly more commonplace, is one of fiscal responsibility for the management of development teams and also of publishers. They have to keep their backers and investors in mind, as well as how they will keep the entire process within budget. Keep in mind that the price of games has changed very little, if at all, in the past 20 years or so, which means that overhead has increased while trying to maintain a $60 price point. To that end, management will often find ways to save money or cut corners while still keeping in line with the end goal, and such decisions can often lead to suboptimal or horrendous launch conditions. And he's right about all of that.
Yeah.
It isn't solely the fault of developers or publishers either. The vast majority of the gaming public will, more often than not, complain if a game is delayed or if a game launches as expected but with a few bugs. Gamers have also shown a dire aversion to any increase in a price higher than what is the current model, special bundles or additions notwithstanding. To that end, the immediate nature of current internet connectivity means that management will feel more comfortable launching now and having the development team work on a quick patch rather than waiting for these problems to be resolved at the cost of an extended development cycle.
Ew, management, boo.
In closing, I believe we'll need an increase in price to compensate for current overhead. A lot of gamers would probably get angry at such an idea, but in reality, it's better for all of us in the long run. I agree with him. I think, honestly, to help fix the problem, we probably would need to start paying more for at least AAA games. He also brings up another good point, which if any of you guys read that Star Citizen post, it kind of highlights it in there. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make something technically perfect and amazing, and it's more innovative than anything else and blah, blah, blah. But there is a financial reality that is you need a product that you can sell. If you can't do that, you will not make money, and you won't be here to make the next one. People crap on Activision all they want, but the Call of Duty franchise provides jobs for thousands of people for over a decade, which is very rare in the video game industry. And of course, some people get hired each time, some people get laid off. I'm not saying it's perfect, but like those games make money. And they do a pretty good job of making them. Like a lot of those games, if they weren't labeled Call of Duty, people would have a lot nicer things to say about them. But those games make money, and they pay for a lot of other things, and they still launch them in pretty good shape. But all publishers have to keep that in mind. Like, of course, the studio wants to put out the best thing they possibly can, but if they don't put out something on a good enough timetable and in a good enough condition that the publisher can use to make money, not only will the publisher not make their greedy profits for their greedy investors, but the developer won't be able to make another game. Like, they'll get shuttered.
Yeah.
It won't be financially possible. Like, capitalism is not the problem here. There can be a lot of problems, but it's not like publishers are just too greedy or gamers are just too entitled or developers are just too lazy. Like, it's a systemic thing where you have to make enough money to keep the doors open, which means you have to cut corners at some point, but gamers have increasing standards all the time. Like, the quality of modern games by and large is much farther along than would have been years and years ago. Like, lots of games used to have bugs and issues and other stuff too, but the overall quality was low enough. Like, you didn't have all these crazy mechanics that could break. You didn't have incredibly detailed graphics, so you wouldn't notice when some of the parts didn't look as good as others. Like, the bar has overall gotten higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
And at some point, something does have to give. Like, things take longer, and they're more expensive, and they're a lot more complicated. Like, what do you expect? Some developers and publishers can pull it off. Some of them have the money to do it, and some don't. You know, Rockstar is extremely talented, but Rockstar can do whatever they want because they've made enough money that they can take weird risks that other publishers and developers simply could not afford to do. So, I don't know. Hats off to everybody who makes good games. That is a hard,
For sure.
hard job. And I'm kind of glad I don't have it. Aubrey also says you need to bring back your Banished series.
Oh boy, I would probably suck at that game now. I was never amazing at it, but I strung my settlements along. They were barely surviving, but it was there. I do have a comment of the week, one that I've gotten before and got again a few days ago that makes me think I really need to stop recording commentary late at night. Got a comment on a Fallout video, a Let's Build from a couple days ago, where, where'd it go? I lost it. Stand by. Yeah, here's the comment. When he started speaking, he sounded quite tired and a bit sad. I was definitely tired. I don't think I was sad. I generally get pretty hyped up actually building Fallout. Like it's kind of dumb. Like I might start out sounding really tired because Tuesday I went to the dentist too. Like I was a bit out of it. But man, you get me building some stuff in Fallout and it's like coming together how I had imagined it in my head. Hype gets real. No, I was not sad. But I was most definitely tired.
Cool. Anything else you want to talk about before we go this evening?
I am ready to end the podcast so I can turn the air conditioner back on because I am starting to stick to the seat.
That is just enough information that I know everything I need to know that it is now time to end the show like we always do with Organ Roll. That could have been smoother. I didn't really figure out what my idea was until midway through it.
I feel proud that I've completely thrown you off track now.
As always, you can be a part of the show by writing into casualshenanigans@gmail.com. You can also tweet at casualshenaniga. You can check out our website, casualshenanigans.com. We are on Facebook, YouTube, etc., etc. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and being a part of the show. Let us know if you have ideas for something that would actually be good for us to do for episode 200. We don't be like, do another show where you just give away a bunch of games. Like, we can do that. But if you have an idea of something that would actually be really good for us to do for episode 200, let us know. We'll take it under advisement. But otherwise, this has been episode 190. 190. What am I doing with my life? Of the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for hammering the piss out of that like button.
It really helps us out.
All 10 of you who do it every single week. We appreciate you. If we hit 1,000 likes, I will eat the stupid egg chocolates again.
You'll eat guacamole and you'll like it.
Yeah, if we hit 1,000 likes on one of the videos, I'll eat guacamole. Deal.
Yeah, when you start doing intros like that for the podcast where you just slide it from off screen, what's up, guys? Can we smash 1,000 likes on the podcast this week? For no reason. Oh, man.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and being part of the show. And as always, stay casual.